Hello YouTube world, this is Dulu here, your British Bangladeshi, reacting to another History of India video. I haven't seen this one before at all, so I'm going to watch it with you guys and react to it. I may stop it now and again just to give brief comments, but not too long, not more than say 10 seconds, because I don't like interrupting a video too much. So we're just going to get started. Let me just open it up and then we'll watch it. I'm just going to pause it and then start it in a second. Right, so here's the video, so we're going to start from the beginning.
This video is brought to you by Captivating History. When we discuss the history of India, we are not talking only about the area of the world where the modern Republic of India is situated. Instead, the area known as the Indian subcontinent has a shared history going back many millennia. However, as we will discuss, the division of the area into Bangladesh, India, and Pakistan is relatively recent. The Indian subcontinent was attractive to human settlement from the earliest days of civilization and forward. It is sheltered from the cold winds by the Himalayas.
It
contains many rivers.
Very briefly. I already like this video because it seems to be accurate from the very beginning. Many histories you see of India on YouTube, they forget to tell you that it also includes Bangladesh and Pakistan and bits of Afghanistan as well, and possibly Nepal. So I already like this one as it seems to be a bit more accurate, historically speaking. So yeah, let's carry on.
Which facilitated early efforts at irrigation. In addition, the mountains and rivers helped make areas of the country defensible against nomads and marauders. Therefore, it became a center of early and advanced civilization. In the 3rd millennium BCE, the Indus civilization rose in the area, still known today as the Indus Valley. It reached its peak between 2800 BC and 1800 BC. As advanced as any other civilization of the time, and participated in trade networks reaching as far as the Middle East. It is important to place this civilization in the context of the time. It was one of the 3 earliest points of large-scale sedentary settlement, alongside Mesopotamia and the Nile. Just like those areas, the Indus River was the basis for the booming of permanent agricultural centers. However, the early civilization was also unmistakably Indian. The bull was a significant icon, alongside the tiger and elephant. And while we don't know what they called their gods, some of their statues and icons feature characters similar to the yogi god of the seals and the Shiva Linga, all familiar icons throughout the region's history. Archaeological excavations reveal the ruins of a prosperous civilization with extensive urban planning and well-built structures. But, unfortunately, a series of natural disasters eventually brought an end to this impressive civilization around 1300 BCE.
This one mistake is stopping you from losing weight.
If you want to drop this...
Sorry about that. Atlas got in the way, so we'll just continue with the video.
BCE. 2,000 years later, a second regional culture arose around the Ganges River. The sedentary population in the Ganges depended heavily on rice cultivation for subsistence and development. In many other parts of the subcontinent, tribal nomadic societies formed the core of the population. Unfortunately, there are no written records of these earliest settlements, and we depend exclusively on archaeological findings for information on the period. The earliest known written source of the region is the large body of Sanskrit literature known as the Rig Veda. Due to its importance, early Indian history is usually divided into the pre-Vedic and Vedic periods. During the Vedic period, a group of nomads known as the Indo-Aryan people came into the subcontinent from Central Asia. Using new technological innovations, such as the chariot, they soon dominated northern India. The writings were emblematic of the culture of the invading peoples. They also proved highly influential to the development of the culture in the subcontinent from then on out. For example, the strict Aryan perception of social class distinction is at the root of the later development of the caste system. Already at this point, 4 social classes can be detected. The combination of pre-Vedic and post-Vedic religious elements into one tradition led to the creation of the Hindu religion. Today, it is practiced by well over 1 billion people worldwide. They would coalesce into the Brahmins, the priestly people at the top of the social structure. Directly under them were the Kshatriyas, a class of warriors and administrators. The third class were the Vaishyas, the farmers and professionals of various kinds. Finally, at the bottom were the Shudras, who were the laboring class. Anyone left out of the order was considered tainted and untouchable. Despite attempts by current Indian government to struggle against this system, it persists in various ways today. During the Vedic period, the small fiefdoms that dominated the area became large political entities with complex bureaucracies. These entities were called Janapadas. Some were monarchies, while others were proto-republics. In terms of technology and lifestyle, it was during this period that India transitioned into the Iron Age. Eventually, the Janapadas gave way to the larger and more powerful Mahajanapada kingdoms. Around 600 BCE, a series of significant changes occurred in Indian society. First, substantial urbanization began, particularly around the Ganges. With it came new ideas and philosophies. The most important among them was the Shramana, which means one who labors, toils, or exerts themselves. These traditions of asceticism gave birth to the religions of Buddhism and Jainism. It also played an essential role in developing the yogic principles, meaning principles of unity, which led to the modern practice of yoga. Meanwhile, Hindu culture cemented into a more coherent set of principles. Between the 3rd century BCE and the 3rd century AD, the highly influential Sanskrit epic, the Mahabharata, was compiled. During this period of cultural transformation, the first Indian empires formed. The Shunga Empire gave way to the Satavahana Empire, and so on. During that time, the fortunes of Hinduism and Buddhism changed as different rulers adopted varying religious and political approaches. In the 7th century, India began its long engagement with Islam.
Big retailers don't want you to have...
Sorry about that, another ad intervened, so we'll just continue. So far, I'm really actually liking this. It seems very historically and academically accurate. I do like history myself, and have been reading about it for 30 plus years now. And many modern historians are reluctant to mention many things, especially the peoples, the Arya or Aryans, who came over from West Asia and actually were the founders of Hinduism. Many of that gets neglected in more so-called modern history, which tries to be politically correct and neglects mentioning certain things. And some modern so-called historians are also leaving out the Islamic impact on India, Bangladesh, Pakistan as well, which is a bit silly. But this one seems far more accurate and not politically correct so far anyway. So it seems very interesting, and we'll carry on.
Through a combination of invasions and cultural influence, Islam became a strong religious and political presence in the subcontinent. The most potent Islamic kingdom in the subcontinent was the Mughal kingdom, which, at its peak, united all of India under one ruler. This empire had outstanding accomplishments. Perhaps the most famous among them is the glorious Taj Mahal. The spectacular tomb is one of the pinnacles of architecture and a testament to the influence of Islam on subcontinent culture. However, as Islamic power waned globally, the power of European colonialism rose correspondingly. European navies and traders cornered international maritime trade. It was not long before the English discovered the wonders of Indian spices and textiles and incorporated the subcontinent into international trade. In 1600, London traders formed the English East India Company to gain supremacy in regional trade. It formed alliances with local rules and even went to war to outright conquer the country's swaths. This grew into official colonialism when the British Empire established the British Raj in 1858.
Just very quickly on the British impact on India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, or the Indian subcontinent. It really happened because the Mughals, after they started to decline after Aurangzeb died in 1707, that particular empire, which had united the most of the Indian subcontinent, after that one started to decline, the India broke up into hundreds of tiny states, more than probably 600 or so princely states, or kingly states, etc., ruled by different independent kings. And into that melee and confusion came the British. The French were also there, by the way. The Portuguese were also there a bit earlier. But the British eventually won out. And they won out simply because the Indians themselves helped the British. And each Indian was fighting against another Indian in other parts of India. So one state, one king in one state was fighting another king in another state. And in that division, you're obviously going to be defeated by a power that is more united and is using your own people against others of your own people to increase their power. And that's what they did, and they did it very well. And that's how a lot of empires are created after all. So it was a division of Indians amongst themselves on whether religion or caste, and more probably based on power and influence. One king simply didn't want to be ruled by another, and they'd rather have a foreigner, ironically, having suzerainty over them rather than a fellow Indian from another part of India. So it's the old story, united we stand, divided we fall, and you see it in history over and over again. But unfortunately, in India in particular, it's happened over and over again. But that's just my sort of brief sort of analysis, if you like, of why it happened.
Many in India were unhappy with British colonial oppression. As a result, various uprisings had to be suppressed by the Raj.
Again, when we say many were unhappy, many of the princes and kings who were paying tax to the British and were then had relative security and independence from other kings, Indian kings, as well as the British authorities, they probably weren't that unhappy with the British because they were living, plush and very lavish lifestyles, as despots ruling various Indian states. What really led to independence was when the upper classes in Indian society realised even they could not go above a certain level, and that's what really led to independence and the independence movement. But many of the princely states and the princes and kings in those Indian states were very happy because they lived very lavishly. I don't think they really cared about the common Indian at all.
In 1885, the National Congress was formed. It proved the most important political party to oppose colonialism and played an essential role in shaping independent India. The Indian independence movement grew. It produced Mahatma Gandhi, one of the most important figures of modern history. The movement he led fought against colonialism through nonviolent means. Elements such as civil disobedience and non-cooperation helped erode the British hold over the subcontinent. They would also inspire other successful struggles against oppression, such as the Civil Rights Movement in the United States and the fight against apartheid in South Africa. After World War II, the British liquidated much of their empire. Indian independence was imminent. However, the people of the subcontinent did not get to enjoy their newfound freedom. Many Muslim residents of India were concerned that they would become a persecuted minority in a majority Hindu country. Therefore, the Muslim League lobbied to partition the Indian subcontinent into two countries. The British agreed to partition and left the area behind. The newly independent country of India and the Muslim Republic of Pakistan went to war in 1947 over the disputed provinces of Kashmir and Jammu. During the war, massive forced and voluntary migration occurred as people felt unsafe in their homes, seeking protection within their own communities. As a result,
What's quite interesting about human nature, and you see it over and over again in human history, is how people never learn from history. Even though this division happened due to religion, but I would say more because of politics, even then many in the modern era don't seem to understand that division could happen again. And if you're going to persecute a minority, especially a minority has quite a strong minority and has numbers behind them, it's not impossible to think that these people, once they suffer persecution in their own country from the majority, that they may want to secede or start a revolution again. And it's interesting how leaders who are supposed to be far cleverer and wiser than us common people never seem to see it until it's too late, and then civil war starts again and division starts again and their country and their land is divided again. So let's hope the Almighty blesses us with wise leaders who actually know what they're doing, as opposed to leaders who build everything on hating the other and being against the other. The more we can live together despite our differences, the better, I think. It's always been. And if you look at the most successful empires and the most successful societies, they've always managed to unite and be a very be a melting pot of cultures, of histories, and even languages and religions, who ultimately work together despite having differences here and there, which is inevitable. So it's interesting how human beings, and especially our so-called leaders nowadays, and throughout history actually, never seem to learn that lesson, that united we stand, divided we fall. And that goes for all of humanity actually, not just any particular country in the world.
Muslims escaped to Pakistan, and Hindus gravitated towards India. India won the war, but the Muslim majority population of Kashmir and the government of Pakistan did not accept the outcome. They would continue to clash over the fate of the province. However, Pakistan had other problems to deal with. The Bengali population revolted against the central government. With help from India, the people of the area, formerly designated as East Pakistan, declared independence and established Bangladesh. In more recent years, India, Bangladesh, and Pakistan have faced new challenges. Globalization has transformed their societies and brought relentless change to the subcontinent. Yet, through it all, the region's people have continued to hold on to their traditions and cultures while acclimating to the 21st century. India remains one of the most influential centers shaping the globe. By the middle of this century, India will be the most populous country globally, and the massive influence of the area on international affairs is sure to continue. To learn more about the history of India, check out our book, History of India, a captivating guide to ancient India, medieval Indian history, and modern India, including stories of the Maurya Empire, the British Raj, Mahatma Gandhi, and more. It's available as an ebook, paperback, and audiobook. Also, grab your Mythology Bundle ebook for free while it's still available. All links are in the description. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button and subscribe for more videos like this.
If you drink water first...
Well, that's the end of the video there. Just going back to showing me. Well, that was very interesting, and it seems like a genuine history actually, unlike some modern nonsense you get where they either it's very politically correct, or they leave out certain aspects of Indian history, i.e. the Islamic period, which is very, very important in its history. So that was quite good. So hopefully, you will buy that book actually and learn proper history, but also read books from 20, 30, 40 years ago by academics who spent most of their life looking into Indian archaeology, etc., etc. Reading is always ultimately the best way to gain knowledge. So that was really interesting. I'll do a few more as they come up. Thank you for watching, and do please subscribe if you can, or make a contribution. It all helps me to carry on doing these videos. Thank you so much everyone, and hopefully see you guys soon. Bye bye.